Hey guys, how you doing? I'm here to tell you guys about what happens when you install Logic on your computer. After you follow all the prompts, it's pretty much self-explanatory the way it installs itself. But the very first thing you'll see is a dialog box that asks you, do you want to install additional content like samples and loops and things like that? And it's no small download, right? So you need to have a lot of room on your hard drive. It's huge. In fact, it takes hours to download depending on your connection to the internet. So if you don't want to use loops ever, it's not your thing, you can always download it a year from now or 6 months from now. If you want to download just portions of it, you can check which ones you want to download. If you want to download some now and some later, if your connection gets interrupted, it'll pick up where it left off next time. So I download it because I like having it. I find it inspirational. I like playing around with it. In fact, I'm going to use the loops to teach you some stuff today about logic. So hopefully that makes sense. Just so you guys know, I've tried making this video about 500 times, maybe 450 around there. But you guys should know that I've had some issues with logic sometimes, like the intro click not going off. And in that case, sometimes restarting your computer or restarting Logic is one of the best answers out there. I know it's frustrating, but it happens to the best of us. Let's go ahead and go into Logic now. And the first time you open it, you will see here under Sound Library is where the Essential Sounds thing can be chosen. I have mine grayed out because I've already downloaded it, just so you know. Anyway, we're not going to use any equipment today other than your DAW, which is Logic, as well as your computer. So I'm going to press create. I'm not worried about any inputs or anything like that. I'm not actually going to be using this today. We're just worrying about the controls here in Logic. My goal is to set you up so you can take off doing your thing. And the other tutorials out there will hopefully make sense to you after this. Let's not be scared to click on different buttons. You don't have a song yet, so feel free to click on stuff and click on it again, see what changes, right? So starting from the left, this is the library. When I click on this, we have loads of different things to choose from, and in there, they split off into more sections. So if you have like a naked guitar that you can play, as in like a tone that's very like clean, you can take that and change it into a distortion or a spacey guitar. You can put a vocal effect on it. And these are like presets, right? That Logic's decided that you can use these as kind of like get up and go type of thing. It's ready to be used. All you got to do is click on it and it puts itself on your sound or on your loop. And it's a great starting point. And it's also a great way to write songs because it can get you going in the right direction without having to pull out amps and all that stuff. Okay, I'm going to collapse the library for now, but before I do, I just want to show you guys just how far I can go. You can skip over things this way. You can go back by pressing here and then clicking on maybe acoustic guitar and then going to that. Now you have a natural guitar sound here. You can go to experimental, moving spaces. There's loads of different things you can choose from, okay? I'm going to close that down, make some space, and just so you know, everything's adjustable here, just like Adobe is. You can just kind of stretch out frames. This is the track strip here. You can see that this is referring to this right here. Okay, so I've already applied a filter on here, kind of. I already applied a preset, and that preset involves a certain EQ, maybe two EQs, a delay, and a few other things here. I'm going to click this little space there, and I can add more stuff. Okay, so it's like a rack and a pedal board all in one. I can just put on all these cool filters and sounds and change it and tweak it from there. Kind of getting ahead of myself here, but I'm going to collapse that. Just so you know, this is all kind of like you can get it out of your way to kind of get a clean look. Okay, and go ahead and double click on things and see what things look like. You can turn off EQ, turn on EQ, mess around with it. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on this. This is like a compressor. You can change that as you want. I'm going to go here now in the middle of the screen, we have scrubbing backwards, scrubbing forwards, stopping, playing, recording, and looping. If you want to play a sound, you can press the play button, but I recommend pressing the space bar. Space bar again to stop. If you want to go back to the beginning, press return or enter. And there you go. If I want to play again, I will press the play button. I can stop it and then press the back to beginning button right here. So many ways to do some stuff here that I find useful on the keyboard, or I just use the mouse. It just depends. I can also press R to record. I'm going to press spacebar and it stops recording. Um, Pressing R is handy to record, and you notice that there was a click sound. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it begins recording, right? And watch where it began recording, right on the first beat. That's very important for the next point. But that count in is right here, the count in. I'm going to press the right click button here on my mouse, and you'll see that everything is customizable in Logic, right? If I want to see more about something, expand on it, I can right click on the metronome, for example, and change more parameters that way. I can right click here, I can right click everywhere in the Max Logic system. So if I don't like this count in, I can turn it off by clicking it. If I want a metronome, I can click it. While you're recording by yourself, you may need a metronome, so you can have that on. If you want to count in, you can have that on as well. But just so you know, when you play back the sound, the metronome will be on, so you can turn that off at that point. Now, the metronome, the BPM is here in the middle. I can scoot it up, I can scoot it down, like so. I'm going to move it back to 120. Okay, now where else can I adjust the BPM? I can go here. This is kind of like more tabs you can play around with. The tempo can be fixed here. Now watch this number, the 120. I'm going to do this. So you can also double click here and enter in the BPM, which I often do. So why is the BPM so important? Obviously, when you're playing by yourself, it doesn't really matter, right? Oh, it's fast or it's slow, or it's moderately tempoed. But if you want to share your work with your friends and have them play along with you, now BPM is a very essential part of the song. It changes the feel, and you need to nail it down. And there's nothing like, you know, being able to figure that out on your own while messing with increments of BPM on your DAW. So it's very handy to know how to do that. Seems very common sense, actually. So I'm going to collapse this by pressing it again, and then I'm going to take you to loops. Loops, you can press the letter O. O looks like a loop, right? So there it is. I'm going to scoot myself over here. Okay, so you can see that all the loops show up. These are all the things that I've downloaded. Now, some of them were included when you install Logic for the first time, but many more are included now. Okay, so I'm just going to click on one. It previews it. If I click on it again, it stops. Now, look to the right here. We have beats, we have tempo, we have the key. Look up here. We have the instrument, the genre, and descriptors, and two different ways of looking at it. I prefer this way. Yeah, okay. Maybe it does this. There we go. It expands when I press that. So let's say if I want to start with a new track, okay, I can go ahead and delete this by highlighting it, pressing it, and then pressing delete. Okay, so you might see me delay here with my video. Please bear with me. This is very complicated. I'm going to delete this track. Okay, I'm going to create a new track. It can be audio for now. As you see, anything can be changed even during. So there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and drag a file, a sample that I think sounds good, that gets me excited to make a song. I'm going to maybe start with an instrument of guitar, electric guitar. What genre I like? Chill wave guitar. And the tempo will be changed when I go ahead and put it in the track, right? So the master BPM right now is 120, and it will mold to that. And that's kind of cool when you work with the loops. The loops are programmed to do that. So right now I'm going to just click on something. Okay, I don't really like that all that much, but I'm going to go press the key here, and I'm going to scoot all the way to the top and just kind of pick the key of C. Okay, so that's fine by me. I'm going to drag this out and put it there. Now you see that this had tempo information and it wants to change it. I'm going to press play. Okay, sounds a little slow to me. I want to boost this up maybe back to, I don't know, 125. I'm going to go back to the beginning by pressing enter and space. Okay, so I am now going to take this loop and expand it, extend it. I'm going to loop it. And I do that by putting my mouse close to the edge here. Notice if I put it down here, it does something else, right? If I put it up here, it kind of does this loopy symbol. So I'm going to drag it out and repeat forever and ever for as long as I want. So I'm going to do it this far. Listen to it now. Okay, sounds pretty cool. What I'm going to do now is look at landing an LA guitar, which is the next clip. It's the same key, so I'm just going to use that. Okay, so what can I do with a loop? I'm going to loop it. If I want a little gap between the two samples, I can literally just kind of make sure it's a mouse pointer and kind of grab it right there and give it a little gap. Or I can bring it back and do like partial gap. You can see that it's snapping in place. That's a feature that I like, and you can change that as well. But for right now, let's just keep everything lined up, okay, for sake of being simple. Now, if I move this over like this, it'll throw the timing off a little bit. So what I can do is just do this, move my pointer over, and maybe just do this. I'm going to right click here, and I'm going to split at the playhead. Okay, so it keeps it intact, the timing, and I'm just going to click this one and I'm going to press delete. Now you notice I put both loops in the same track. Okay, you don't have to do that. In fact, it's probably encouraged to keep everything separate, right? They are two different guitar parts. If I put everything in the same track and I put an effect on it, it affects the entire track. If I have bass and guitar and another guitar, they can all be separate and they all sound different and have their own characteristics. Let's give this a listen. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take these, lasso them together, and bring them down here. It's a different audio track now. It plays the same. Okay, so what I need now are some drums. Let's go ahead and find some. I'm going to press the X so everything clears back to default. And I'm going to find an instrument. Let's find maybe beats. Genre could be hip hop. Descriptors, maybe, how about, I don't want to go arrhythmic. I want to be very rhythmic actually. How about clean? Now I'm going to sort by however way I want. Okay, so I liked something and I dragged it out into its own track. Again, can I combine clips? Yes, I could. I'm not going to do that here. It makes sense to have their own space. Now I'm going to play it. Okay, so I don't like that I cut this part out. So maybe I can take this part and delete it, and I'll just re-loop it. It just didn't feel as climactic as I thought by removing a part. So let's give it a sound, give it a little listen right now. Okay, so I think this part's a little too drawn out, so I'm going to bring it back. And then I'm going to deselect it and maybe select this one, and I'm going to press Command C, which is copying it. And then I'm going to put this here and do Command V. Notice where it went. Why did it go to that track? Because it was highlighted. So I'm going to highlight this one from now on, make sure it goes there. Okay. In fact, this track is not necessary. It's slowing things down. It's taking piece CPU power, so I'm going to delete this track. I right-clicked and a lot of options show up. I can rename it. I can name it to the people that played it. I can rename it to the certain guitar or instrument that I've used. That's very important. I can delete it now. I'm going to play it. Okay, so I think it's shaping up pretty well. I'm going to expand the drums a little bit more, and I am going to zoom in a little bit more so I can be more exact with my cutting. And I do that using these here. These are zoom sliders, and I can expand the waveforms so I can see where the beat lands. I can even do this where I can really get in deep here to make sure I'm exact with the cuts. Let's see here. You can use your fingers too on the trackpad, and it messes with the zooms. You can also use your mouse here and drag it up and down like so, just like that. Okay, so I felt a neat little pause that I can maybe put, I don't know, right here. It's a little too big for me to tell, so I'm going to zoom it back out. Okay, so I'm going to right arrow here, split at playhead, or press Command T. I just do the mouse thing. And then I'm going to press delete. So it took out a part of it. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is just create a little bit of dynamics. I'm trying to create a little bit of space there. Okay, hopefully this helps. Let's keep going with the next video. We'll explain to you how to save, how to bounce, how to mute certain tracks, and hopefully we can make this a complete song. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon.